Now, more of Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Opportunity Project, the only show directly addressing the problems and solutions for Illinois. Now, from AM 560, here's Dan Proft.
Dan Proft back with Pat Hughes on this edition of Rising. And Pat, this week, Rauner began and concluded his camping trip to the Illinois Veterans Home in Quincy, where a dozen veterans have died over the last couple of years from outbreaks of Legionnaire's disease in that facility. So per the hue and cry that was going on locally, the governor and his wife went down there and to see firsthand, as the governor explained.
I came here because I wanted to make a judgment for myself. I didn't want to just rely on other people. I just didn't want to hear testimony or just various opinions. I wanted to come for myself to see firsthand the nature, the fundamental service in this facility. And let me be crystal clear, I do not support closing this facility, period.
So he really came down there for not just the political stunt and to feign concern, but also to make sure that those employees of that facility know that they get to keep their jobs.
Yeah, you know, this is some of the biggest political hackery, Dan, I've ever seen. Everybody knows, who have been around like we have for a long time, that Jane Byrne tried this in the late 70s, early 80s with Cabrini Green, which is no longer around, thank goodness, because so many people died and suffered there. This is no different, right? So for all the time that Bruce Rauner wanted to see for himself, I want to see for myself. Was he seeing for himself, Dan, in this facility and others, when the Legionnaires broke out and these 12 people died? I think, is it 11 that are filing lawsuits? There's a bunch of lawsuits being filed.
It's interesting you point that out because from Mike Tobin's report, this became a national story, Mike Tobin on Fox News reported on it, and he made this point about, so now it's January of 2018 when Rauner wants to see for himself because he's so concerned about veterans and their health and the operation of that facility.
In July of 2016, Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner said, "We're really on top of the situation." Last fall, 3 more residents tested positive for the bacteria. A Korean War veteran with a host of medical problems died.
So a year and a half ago, he was really on top of it. And then this fall, 3 more get sick, 1 dies. So then 5 months later, dang it, he's going to go down there and get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, and the worst part about it for me, Dan, is there's the hypocrisy, but it's worse than that. That little applause line that he delivered, right, where he's like, and I'm not closing this down, and then everybody claps, and then he feels good about himself because of his ineffectiveness, because of the failure of his office, of his government, because no one was paying attention when he even said they were paying attention. People died. Veterans died here, okay? And now we're going to do a political campaign piece on the graves of these people. This is how bad this guy is. And the fact that he and his wife went down there and spent the night, like if they drink the water, hey, if we drink the water, everything is going to be fine. It's no problem. Everything's fine here. I would think that voters would just be as disgusted by this behavior as I am as disgusted by this behavior and say this guy isn't a leader and he's completely ineffective.
Well, he says he's not a leader. He's not in charge. But there's no question. This is everybody just trying to cover their ass.
Totally.
It's really unfortunate. And Rauner went on to say, what he's going to do about it now that he's so exercised about it.
The fact that we've had veterans pass is heartbreaking to me, and I'm personally committed to doing everything we can to keep our veterans safe.
Yeah.
I will not allow 13 people to die on my watch. I'm okay with 12. There will not be a 13th death. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. He's not going to happen on his watch anymore. A friend of mine sent me an email about this. His mom was a nurse at the Illinois Veterans Home in Quincy before she passed. And he wanted to make sure kind of her inside perspective got out. My friend writes, my mom worked at the Illinois Veterans Home in Quincy from 2001 to 2015. She died in December of 2015. Anyway, she was an RN. The media reports of Legionnaires being diagnosed in July of 15 are wrong. The first visible signs of the disease were present at the end of May of 2015. My mom had brought this up to the doctor and the nurse practitioner at the vet's home. Both said it wasn't Legionnaires. No tests were taken on the residents. In June of 2015, the home started their treatment of Legionnaires. The home had yet to actually test or confirm that any patient had the disease. It only came out in July of 2015 that the home had an outbreak when one of the residents had to go to the local hospital, and the doctor tested the patient and found that he had Legionnaires. Even then, the home tried to say that the resident had picked it up at the hospital, not at the home. There was only one confirmed case of Legionnaires at the time in the whole hospital, and it was the vet's home resident. There were many other residents at the home that showed signs of having Legionnaires. My mom confronted the doctor and the NP, the nurse practitioner, and told them that they had to admit all the residents to the hospital that were showing signs of symptoms of Legionnaires. Both said that the staff at the home can handle it. My mom said clearly the home cannot because we could have as many as 20 residents with Legionnaires and we aren't treating them and we haven't isolated them. People will die. She was ignored. She confronted the vet's home administrators. Again, they denied they had a problem. Once the home finally admitted the problem on their hands, it was too late. Various union representatives at the home were more concerned about the health and well-being of the staff than they were about the residents with Legionnaires. Again, this irritated my mom to no end, so much so that in October of 2015, she had planned how she could retire in 2016 so she could be done with the home. She was an RN who saw her career as a vocation. Probably 80% of the staff at the vet's home around the state see their job as nothing more than a job. Whenever people asked her about working at the veterans home, she would say, it's an honor to care for the men in their final years of life that sacrifice so much for the freedoms that we enjoy. It's a shame that most staff don't realize how privileged they are to care for these amazing men. And I would say that characterization also applies to our political class, beginning with the governor who's not in charge.